For the first time in the 25 years of Supercross, the sport travels to the historic Cleveland Municipal Stadium for round 13 of U.S. Supercross action. Hello, everyone. I'm Art Ekman, along with David Bailey, getting ready for another exciting round of Supercross action. The sport's #1 star, Jeremy McGrath, had to put on hold his celebration for the coveted record for most career victories after the last round. And, David, I've heard he's had a couple of sleepless nights lately.
Well, can you blame him? I mean, he's got a lot of records to think about. And first would be, if he picks up a win here tonight, that would tie him with Rick Johnson for the most all-time wins at 28. Also, it put him in line to break his own record of the most races in a single season. But more importantly, that Supercross title, his third consecutive, tying him with Bob Hanna. And I think he's going to go out and try to win the race, but things get nasty out there. You can bet he'll drop a spot or two and just play it safe and win that title.
The real points race battle here tonight is for second place between non-factory rider Larry Ward and Kawasaki's Mike Kudrowski.
Well, I expect, what I want to do is get second place overall in the series, and, I'm going to try hard the rest of the 3 races and go out there and, go for the win. Jeremy's been riding good, but I feel that, the last couple of weeks have been pretty good for me. Nationals, I can beat those guys really bad, so I'm looking forward to doing something in the last 3 Supercrosses.
I'm going to try not to think about it. I'm going to go out there. I am in second place, but I have not won a race all year, so my goal is to win one of these last 3 races and get a win under our belt for Team Nolene. And if I just ride as good as I have been all year and stay consistent the last 3 races, then I believe second place will come to us.
Larry Ward with a thin 1-point lead over Mike Kudrowski for second place in that points chase. 3 short Supercross tracks remain on the season. Advantage Ward?
Oh, I think so. I would give it to Ward. And from listening to Kudrowski then, he seems to have outdoor on the brain. And although Larry Ward did struggle in the middle of the season, he seems to have things back on track.
This is the very first Supercross race for the city of Cleveland, and it presented several unique challenges to the track builders and a big plus point for the fans. Let's take a look at the Suzuki track map.
Well, from the looks of this track map, you can see they weren't allowed to use the football field. They're running the perimeter this evening, and that whoop section on the far right side of your screen has a corner right before and right after. It's going to be interesting for the riders to find a fast line through there.
But they allowed the fans to get on the football field itself for a close-up look. Let's go to Marty Reed, trackside.
Track conditions are going to play a key role in tonight's event. We've had 3 days of rain prior to the event here in Cleveland, and the Dirt Works crew, headed by Rich Winkler, has worked 600 man-hours. They brought in 450 truckloads of pure mud. It's wet underneath. It's dried out on top now, but look what's happening. We're seeing a lot of rutting action. And if you remember, we also had some rutting in our last race at Dallas, and it proved to be a problem for Jeremy McGrath. He talked about it before today's race.
Yeah, the track is a little soft because of the rain. The crews, they've been working 110% overnight. They got a little delayed because of the rain, but I don't think that's going to be a factor in the race. I think they do a great job, but I think one of the problems we have now is just the promoters are trying to make the tracks easier, so it's not just a Jeremy McGrath show. Honestly, I think the track is really easy and probably one of the worst ones I've ever ridden on.
Well, you heard it, the champion talking about the track too easy. And what they're trying to do is just make it easier for everyone. So the 125 guys and the new guys at Supercross have an opportunity. But for a guy like Jeremy McGrath, who's capable of a lot more, it's frustrating.
And as we see on our Suzuki starting grid, all the contenders ready to go for the 125 main event. Mike Brown really showed a lot of strength in the last couple of races, as well as the heat race earlier. Tim Ferry is back after the broken jaw, so that should be a good confrontation.
Sure, Pichon's kind of had things his way on this East Coast, and now Ferry's back in there to make it tough. You also got James Dobb, who's lined up all the way on the inside, number 16 right there on your screen.
A very short start at this track at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, so you've got to get a great jump. If you didn't qualify well and get a good gate position, you got to be content from coming from mid-pack, really.
Well, that's because probably you'll be lined up on the outside here. This start reminds me of the LA Coliseum. It's just a quick little left-hand jog, and the guys on the outside are going to have all the problems happening right into them.
That's why the contenders are matched up inside. It's Mike Brown with the hole shot. Oh, going off the track is Mike Catton, East Sparta, Ohio rider. He's still not sure where he is, I don't think.
Well, he took a good fall and looks pretty dazed, and he's right next to those cement steps there. Lucky he didn't get hurt. As we look at our Honda track cam of riders filing through, pretty crowded in the back of this pack.
Pretty clean start with only one rider down as Mike Brown, Tim Ferry 23, and 101 Mikel Pichon. Pichon already the winner in the East Division 125s, but Tim Ferry wants to come back as we take another look at the start.
Just to the left of your screen on the Honda right there, Mike Catton jumps off the racetrack right onto a hay bale. Watch him tumble into those steps. A few feet farther, that could have been a serious injury right in the back.
Meanwhile, out in front is number 26 from Honda of Troy, Mike Brown, and then you see Ferry on the yellow bike, the Suzuki, with Pichon right behind him. So the stage is set really for a wonderful competition out front. James Dobb is actually in fourth, a little ways back of Pichon.
Well, it looks like all the fastest riders are occupying the top 4 positions right now. Look at Pichon jumping through that whoop section. Excellent rhythm.
A short, fast track here in Cleveland. We'll be back with 125 main in a moment. This edition of ESPN Speed World is brought to you by Honda, defending champions and holders of the past 7 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
This is a 1-800-COLLECT call from...
Hey, this is your son, Jeremy. Your son, Jeremy. Trying to be funny? I've been eating pretty good. Doug and I were just hanging out. Cheese. I'm not an actor. What am I doing? Jeff's doing good. He says to say hi. Hi, Dad. Steve says to say hi. Hi, Mom and Dad. Say what? I think we're going to take it tonight. No, I'd rather have it on your bill than mine. I'm getting ready to go race right now. Mom, guess what? We just won the championship again.
We're back at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed in the pits as we look at Tim Ferry and Mike Brown go at it. Mike Brown, Honda of Troy rider, basically was known as an outdoor rider, but has adjusted well this season to the Supercross, especially after coming off a chest injury in Indianapolis. He's put some great races together.
He sure has. Earlier in the season, you wouldn't see him still leading this race. These guys are fast. Ferry and Pichon behind him, and look at the lead he still has.
There's the whoop section that riders like to pass on, but they can't get momentum going into the whoops or coming out because of the tight turns.
Well, that's a place where I think somebody like Pichon would shine. Somebody that Pichon, a lot like McGrath, who's pretty clever at finding different lines. And we saw earlier, he had a pretty nice rhythm through there, jumping through there. But if you mess up the corner, it slows down your speed for the whole section. So you got to be sharp through there.
The real battle we have on the race course right now is for 4th place. Number 16, James Dobb. Dobb goes for the triple. Davey Jezik, number 37, went for the double instead. Jezik is in a points battle now with Mike Brown, as this is the final 125 East Division race of the year. They're looking for 2nd place, and oh, Mikel Pichon went down.
So you can see just then, James Dobb and Davey Jezik go by. Now they're balanced for 3rd place, and Pichon has a lot of work to do.
Greg Rand with one of his better starts of the year, number 740 from Hillsborough, Ohio, just in front of Pichon right now as well. Mike Brown, number 26, and Nathan Ramsey, number 65 from Hickson, Tennessee, hit the deck. He's battling to stay in the top 10 of the points as we look at James Dobb, number 16, and Davey Jezik.
That time Jezik goes for the triple. Even when he did the double before, it didn't seem like he lost much time, but now he's back up to speed. And Pichon, who's still back there after falling down, I got to wonder where his motivation is going to come from. He's already won the East Coast 125 division. He really doesn't even need to be here, but if he can charge to the front, that's going to let the factories know that what he's made of and be another feather in his cap.
Meanwhile, Jezik tries to figure out how to get around James Dobb here. This track is not easy to pass on. And for some of you riders out there who would like to know more about passing, our Suzuki riding tip from former world champion Greg Albertine.
Every rider wishes he could hole shot and run away with a pack like my teammate David Huffman. But in reality, this only happens once every weekend with one guy. The rest of us have to learn how to pass if we want to get to the front. There are a few simple rules you can follow to help you execute clean, effective passes. First off, get to know your opponents. Pay attention to their reaction when they're being passed. Watch them during practice to find out where their weak points are. You can take advantage of any weakness by being prepared to pass other riders where they're most likely to make a mistake. Don't miss out on the opportunity. A better rule is to create your own passing opportunities. Be prepared with alternate lines to use for passing. Use the whole track. Remember that the track will change as the day wears on, opening up new lines and passing opportunities. Often effective passes are made using the brakes instead of the throttle. To outbrake another rider, you have to plan ahead, putting yourself in the best position to outsmart your competition and complete the maneuver. Sometimes you can outbrake a person with actually using the brakes by coming inside the other rider and putting your bike in front of his intended line in a corner. This is called a block pass. It can be very effective because when your opponent brakes and you don't, you make up a lot of time. However, it's hard to do a block pass well. Some riders resort to body contact to try and knock other riders off their line. That's not passing, that's just dirty riding. Finally, remember that passing is as much of a mind game as it is any particular technique. Try to outsmart your competition whenever you can. If a rider thinks you're going to pass him on the left, he'll be most likely to hug the left side of the track, leaving the right side wide open for you to pass. The trick is to really convince him that you're trying to make that pass, so he stops concentrating on looking for his own best lines. The number one key to effective passing is plan ahead. Look ahead, know your opponents, use the best techniques, and you'll come out ahead. For Team Suzuki, I'm Greg Albertine.
Thanks, Greg. As we go back to the action in 125 main, number 26, Mike Brown out in front. Good, steady performance for him. He's coming off a pretty good performance, a third place at Texas, and his one win on the year at Charlotte. Right before that, a second place finish before that at Pontiac. As we watch Mikel Pichon get by Rand. Battling into fifth spot. Mikel's coming back.
That was an excellent move. He came out of the corner, and in order to jump that double jump, he stayed sitting down on the seat. That bounced the suspension, compressed it more, and he got all that rebound and made an easy pass up the inside.
Our Honda jump cam looks more like a speed shot with the 125s. We'll see the 250s flying by that camera later. We saw Mike Brown, David, cut inside a hay bale there.
Well, it looks like, yeah, one of the hay bales. A lot of times they try to cut so tight they drag him out into the track. That caught LaRocco off guard in a heat race in Charlotte, sent him to the ground.
Our Suzuki field summary shows us Brown, Ferry, and Daub out in front. We're back at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Number 26, Mike Brown, leading the 125 action on this very short and quick track. Oh, look at that. It's Jeff Yetzer. He fell right in front of Mike Brown. Brown was in midair when he went down. That was lucky it wasn't a worse accident.
And he's still in a blind spot. Right here, number 59 to the right of your screen, already out of control. No chance to save it. Watch him bounce. That could be a collarbone right there. Look at Mike Brown in the air, nowhere to go. Luckily, Yetzer gets out of the way just in the nick of time. They're both lucky to escape an incident there.
So Mike Brown, still our leader, number 26, despite a hair-raising accident right in front of him off the finish line jump.
It doesn't seem to affect his rhythm much. And you see all those ruts right there as they enter that whoop section. You got to get in those ruts perfect or it'll mess up your rhythm all the way through that whoop section.
Already Brown has clicked off another lap. He started the season with a 5th in Orlando, got another 5th in Atlanta, but a 9th and 8th, and then a press day injury. He was performing in front of the press, went down hard, and missed 2 races, but has come back with some great performances. Here's Tim Ferry, really the only rider right now with a chance at challenging Mike Brown in 2nd place.
And right there, Greg Rand off your screen had crashed on that triple right there as Ferry came by. Ferry has got a pretty good lead over the 3rd place rider, but he hasn't been able to close on Mike Brown. Mike Brown riding a lot better than I've seen him ride in the past. A lot of confidence after picking up his first win.
Mike Brown is ripping it off, and let's check the Honda stopwatch for the interval to see what the distance is between 1st and 2nd place. 4.2 seconds. Ferry is back, but with all those lappers out there and the ruts, most anything can happen.
You can see how far it is back to the 3rd place rider. Here he comes right here, Davey Jezik, number 37.
17.5 seconds. And Pichon, 21 seconds back.
And that's a lot of time, Art. Pichon hasn't gained any time. If anything, he's lost time. And I'm going to assume, because this track is shorter, that the lap times are going to be somewhere under 50 seconds. So that 21 seconds is nearly a half a lap.
We'll keep the Honda stopwatch running to see just how fast the lap time is with Mike Brown. Brown just entering the whoops now. We'll check the stopwatch in about 47 seconds. They had 47.6 there as he goes over the finish line jump. That's a quick one.
That's pretty quick. I think Brown's doing a little quicker than everyone else. Still riding with a lot of confidence. Right there, look at James Daub. He's got company from Pichon, so Pichon is making up time. Look at Pichon jumping through this whoop section. So much smoother through there. You don't have to hit all those bumps. He's only touching 4 or 5 times through there, and if you can do that every lap, you save a lot of energy.
The Englishman using all the track and also using some lappers right now to stay in front of the Frenchman. Daub had gone into the season with high expectations, got a couple of 4th place finishes in the first 3 races, but then injury problems and inconsistency after that have really taken the wind out of his sails. Here's Pichon. He triples over Daub into 4th place. Pichon's next sights, they're set on Jezik.
You know, I don't understand why Daub didn't jump that triple. Already had a perfect run at it. He was lined up straight and nobody in his way. Possibly just a lot of ruts in the face of that jump, something we can't see from here.
Our Suzuki field summary: Brown, Ferry, Jezik, the leaders. You pick out your favorite rider. Back in Cleveland, the final moments of the 125 main, and Mike Brown, who does a little slide there but controlled, has Tim Ferry making up some time now. About 2 or 3 seconds in back of the leader. Tim Ferry's trying to put on a last-second challenge.
Well, it's working. As you can see, a little mistake there by Brown when we first came back. He went over the berm, and that's the only thing you can do on a track this tight, is just to try to keep pressure on the leader, force him into a mistake, and then go by.
Ferry has 2 wins on the year and 2 second places before getting injured with the broken jaw and having to sit out several races, taking him out of the points race. But he's looking for his 3rd win. Mike Brown looking for his 2nd win on the season. And it's coming down to the last lap here in the 125 main.
Well, it's just between these two. I think they got enough of a lead on Jezik. They could probably drop it, pick it up, and still hang on to their spot. Right now, Ferry even a little closer than he was that last lap, really keeping the pressure on Mike Brown.
He's been mistake-free so far, and Ferry, he's putting on the heat. Ferry, a hard hit coming off the jump.
Well, he's trying to set himself up wide for this section right here and just take another line. You saw him jump way to the outside. Watch him double through here. He's got a different rhythm than Brown. He's just trying to do something different, make Brown nervous. It's working.
Brown gets by the lapper. Time running out for Tim Ferry.
Oh, look at these lappers. This is a situation where Brown's got to be on his toes. Luckily for him, the finish line is coming up quick.
The checkered flag for Mike Brown, his 2nd Supercross win of the year, and he secures 2nd place in the point standings, just in front of number 37, Davey Jezik, who placed 3rd in today's race. Tim Ferry, the 2nd place finisher, gave it all he had, David.
Look at Eric Kehoe right there. Looks pretty happy. He's with Honda of Troy, and Honda of Troy's got to be happy with this kid Mike Brown. He's coming on strong late in the season.
The 3rd podium performance for the year for Davey Jezik, who would have had a better chance of nailing down 2nd place in the points had he qualified in Houston. He failed to qualify there, and that took him out of the running for 2nd, really. Not only a win for Mike Brown, but a strong ride as he held off Ferry on that last lap charge by Tim to take the victory. At trackside, Marty Reeds with our winner.
It's been a big night in front of what should be considered a hometown crowd for Honda of Troy. Mike Brown, you did it. You said you wanted to get this victory, clinch 2nd place in the championship. You pulled off both.
Yeah, that's what I said I wanted to do, and I won my heat race, and it worked out good. Just got a good start in the main event there and held off to the end. I mean, Ferry got me the last couple of laps. I couldn't jump the triple jump on the far side. He caught up to me, but I just held inside and pulled off the win.
The reason you couldn't get the triples near the end there, track conditions fading, or you were just playing it safe?
Kind of not safe because he's on me pretty close. I guess when you're at close, you can't play it safe. But I missed the gear the first time, and the last lap there were a lap rider in my way, and I was scared to jump it. But I ended up with the win.
Well, Jeff Nutter, your top man, he said, I haven't been this nervous since 16 years ago when I had my son.
Yeah, that's what he's been saying all week. He's nervous, checking everything, make sure it's right. And I mean, he did a great job. Motorcycle ran great, good starts, and everything worked out good tonight.
Congratulations, great win.
Thank you.
Here's the Suzuki 125 East Point standings. Bichon the champion. Brown edging Yezik by 2 points for second place.
Well, Tim, you gave him a run, especially at the end there, but just the laps ran out on you.
Yeah, I gave it all I had, and second was the best I could do tonight. We ran into a lot of laps, and we lapped most people twice, it seemed like, but he won the race. He got the whole shot, he got up front, and he deserved the win.
You still gave it a great run. Great show for the crowd.
Yeah, I'm trying to come back from an injury right now, and I'm just trying to do 100%, and second place is not where I like to finish. I like to finish first, but it'll have to settle for this week.
Well, now the 125 scene switches to the west. They have 2 more races to finish their season, but Mike Brown, a happy guy right now.
Well, he should be. He's riding excellent, picking up a couple of wins, one in Charlotte, one tonight. Now he can bring that confidence to the outdoors.
We'll be back with the 250s right after this. The year 1989 in the sand at Miami.
This was round number 5. Rick Johnson had already won the first 4 rounds. Rick Johnson, number 1. You're going to see him in the middle of your screen, locked in a battle with Jeff Stanton in the middle of the pack.
Ron Tishner, number 11, looking for his first Supercross victory, and Larry Ward battling out front. Ward on a Honda at that time, but here came Johnson.
And look at those ruts. The ruts took their toll on everybody, and although Rick Johnson got a terrible start, a lot of riders fell, and he carved his way to the front.
Both Rick Johnson at this point and Bob Hanna with 27 wins until the checker flag at Miami. 28 career victories for Rick Johnson. That's the goal for Jeremy McGrath here tonight as we go to the Suzuki highlights for heat number 1. The top 4 riders getting a ticket directly to the main. This is an 8-lap event. Michael Craig getting the jump on Doug Henry and Larry Ward, but danger right at the beginning, David.
Well, see all these guys side by side doing the triples. They make this left. Watch. Larry Ward will not do this triple, and right there, number 14, John Dowd, almost landing on Larry Ward. Things getting real interesting in those first couple of laps.
Absolutely. Doug Henry will pull away from those 2, however, to gain his 5th qualifying heat win in the last 6 tries. Number 4, Henry taking the checkered flag. Looks like Henry is anxious to show on dry ground what he can do.
That's right. Art picking up his first Supercross win of his career at the last race in Dallas. He wants to prove to everyone he's got the speed on the dry ground.
Henry, Ward, Craig, and Dowd. Dowd beating out Kudrowski for the final transfer spot. MK going to the semis. Suzuki heat number 2 highlights a good start. Jeremy McGrath pulls away by the second lap and just breezed to victory. He's got the helmet cam on. Let's ride with him.
This is the view Jeremy gets. Here's a triple. 70 feet. Nobody in front of him. Clear sailing.
This was our battle for the final transfer spot between KTM's Tony Amaranto and number 111. 3-time former world champion Greg Albertine. It was Albertine edging him for 4th position. But another strong showing from number 9, Ryan Hughes.
I'm telling you, he gets faster and faster on the 250, and don't count Emig out. Emig has been leading main events lately, but these guys had a great battle coming to the checkered flag. And although it looked like they were on a fast pace, they were way off the pace of right here, number 1, Jeremy McGrath, who took this easy win.
McGrath winning the heat race, and Ryan Hughes, with Emig breathing down his neck most of the way, would capture 2nd place. This was Ryan's final night on a 250 for this season anyway, before turning to the West Coast 125s. There are the riders that made it directly to the main, the rest to the semifinal round. Suzuki highlights from semifinal number 1. This was Mike Kudrowski's to lose. He had a smooth ride to victory, while number 77 Jeff Dement, after a 1-lap battle with Mike Jones, took a 2nd place.
And although Mike Kudrowski enjoyed a nice lead in semi number 1, why is he there? This guy is battling for 2nd place in the Supercross series, and he's got to go to the semi.
A tight cropping for the final 3 places. Mike Jones coming across number 62. Buddy Antonez 31, just ahead of Phil Lawrence, who passed Denny Stevenson on the last lap to get the final transfer spot as 5 riders advance from the semifinal round. Suzuki highlights from semi number 2 was Brian Swank's showcase. The number 10 Honda of Troy led every lap. Number 29 will be Cliff Palmer. He failed to qualify 6 times this season, but put in one of his best performances on a Suzuki. He's changed bikes. He won his duel with Kyle Lewis for 2nd place.
Watch Kyle Lewis. He's trying to do everything he can to get around Palmer, and it wouldn't work, and he was frustrated.
The checkers for Brian Swank.
Look how close it was for 2nd place between Palmer and Lewis. Lewis not happy with a 3rd place finish. That's going to put him way on the outside of that starting gate.
Deegan and Carson rounding out the final semifinal qualifiers. The rest going to the last chance qualifier. Brooks and Amarillo, the final 2 spots at the gate. Marty Reed.
Well, a unique concept started here in Cleveland. We couldn't use the football field for part of the race course, so they came up with the next best solution. Let's open it up for the fans to take part. We got some of them down here. Now, I got to ask you, who thinks, or let me ask you, start with you. What do you think is more impressive to you, the speed or the height?
I love the speed of this track. It's a very fast track.
All right, now who likes the height? All right, tell me why.
They can definitely get a lot of tricks in, and it makes the whole event look a lot better.
Now, from this perspective down here, did you ever think they really go that high?
Well, yes, they do, but, you know, I think both are very important, both speed and height.
So I think we got a winning combination down here. The only problem is not all the tracks that we run are this big.
Thank you, Marty. Can Jeremy McGrath tie the all-time career win record tonight? We'll be back to find out. Back in Cleveland, Art Ekman along with David Bailey and Marty Reed as the field is set for the 250 main. Butterflies are flying here in the very first Supercross race in Cleveland. As we take a look at our Suzuki starting grid. Jeremy McGrath, of course, looking for that all-important 28th career victory.
And Jeff Emig, who's been whole shot in everything lately, you can bet he's going to get out to a good start. Don't count out Larry Ward, who's been riding stronger. He's got something to prove. He wants to try to stay ahead of Kudrowski in second for the series, and Doug Henry coming off of a win.
That would be quite an accomplishment with a non-factory rider taking second in the point standing.
Look right there underneath Doug Henry's right foot. He's got a dirt clod so he can keep his balance. He's not one of the taller riders, and I like where he's starting. Most of the good guys are on the inside. I think Jeremy's out too wide.
We're riding with Jeremy. That's Emig on the left. He got the whole shot. McGrath looks over to Henry on his left side and cuts underneath Emig on the turn. Jeremy McGrath out in front. Looks back at both Emig and Henry. The rest of the field flying through our Honda track cam.
Look at Jeremy getting away clean. He's got Doug Henry, Emig, Larry Ward is up in there. All the guys with good starts. This is an excellent race, and Jeremy on his way to possibly a record-breaking evening.
Yeah, David, and making that helmet cam a pretty boring shot till we get around to lappers.
Well, it's pretty neat to ride with Jeremy. Anytime I can ride with Jeremy, I'll take that opportunity.
McGrath number 1, Emig number 6, and Henry. They do a little bump action there. We thought we might see some bar banging action on this short track.
That's what you got to do to Jeremy. Get in there, run over his foot, show him a wheel. You know, try to keep the pressure on. Anytime you keep the pressure, and problems for Lewis.
Kyle Lewis going down, the first victim of this track in the 250 main. Shaking the cobwebs out of his head there. Jeremy McGrath, our leader, with Emig second, Henry third. Number 11, Larry Ward, is fourth. Fairly tight pack in the top 4 there.
Well, everyone's pretty much single filed out. It looks like a parade right now. This is going to be a difficult track to pass on, but every time I bring up that point, it's difficult to pass. Jeremy does it, so.
And Hughes is now in 5th. Here's a good battle, Emig and Henry, and they love to go at one another.
I think Henry's faster than Jeff Emig. He was in the heat race, and if he can get around, he can challenge Jeremy. I don't think Emig is going to be a fight for Jeremy, but Henry is.
But Emig is very talented at using up the track.
Well, Emig uses up the entire track, rides a wide bike, as we've said before. You see right there, he came all the way from the outside back to the inside and cut off Doug Henry's line, and there's not much of a track to use here, so it should be pretty easy for him to hold off Henry.
If you're Henry, what do you do?
If I was Henry, I would get in there and get aggressive and probably take Emig out. I mean, just get in there and just bump him out of the way. That's the only way you can get around, and Emig's done it to other people and says he's sorry in the end, and it's water under the bridge a week later, so that's really the only opportunity he has.
Jeremy McGrath now about a 2-second lead on Emig and Henry. There's our battle for second place. Henry coming off a win. Emig's best finish was Houston, a second place. Let's go to Marty, who's with Steve Butler.
Steve, Jeff in a real dogfight right now.
Yeah, there's 95 laps down. It's another 15 to go. They're still pretty close to Jeremy, and I think Jeff's barely staying ahead of Doug, so they could maybe catch up to Jeremy. We'll see what happens.
Henry trying everything possible to get by Emig. He's going outside, inside, and Emig just swerving back and forth, taking the line that he wants, and a different line for Emig most of the time.
Sure, and I don't want to take anything away from Emig. He's riding great, and he's been riding a lot better lately up front, but I think Henry is faster than Emig, and I think he has the pace and the endurance and all the confidence now after winning in Dallas to run with Jeremy, but he's not going to get a chance unless he can get around Emig now.
Jeremy able to pull away just slightly on this short track, and we might reiterate for those tuning in late that the track here in Cleveland goes around a football field, but it's shorter, and we're looking at 40-second range lap times. The Honda helmet cam on top of Jeremy McGrath.
And unfortunately, all that picture is going to bring you is dirt. He has nobody in front of him, no riders to look at. Everything's going on behind him, and this is the real battle for second place. Henry trying everything he can do to get up there and challenge our leader, Jeremy McGrath. But he's got to get around Emig first, and as you can see, Emig isn't making it easy.
I think at a younger age, Henry might have tried something stupid by now, but he's learned patience in the game.
Well, I think so. I think he knows that in order to be consistent and be a threat to win a title, he can't, try so hard and make a move and crash and end up 9th instead of possibly picking up a 2nd or a 3rd. So, he doesn't look real patient right now, but he's still on 2 wheels.
Very aggressive, but smart riding for Doug Henry. They're in the battle for second place as we take a look at the Suzuki field summary. McGrath out in front. Kudrowski mired in 8th. We'll be back in a moment. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed from Cleveland with Supercross action. Round number 13. Jeremy McGrath is out in front. This is the battle for second place. Jeff Emig, number 6. Doug Henry, number 4. Henry has been hounding Emig. Emig using the track well. So far has been able to fend him off. But look out. Here comes Henry on the inside. Henry into second place. Emig, though, is not giving up. He's coming right back.
And look at Emig, completely overjumps that jump just to take Henry almost off the track. And that's what it takes on a track like this. You've got to get aggressive, even border on a little bit of dirty riding in order to hold your position. Emig does it nice.
Emig putting the squeeze on Henry there. And Henry makes a little mistake, goes up on the berm. Dowd went down. Hughes moves in front of him. We've got a battle in the back of the pack now.
So now the one spot where Henry was strong and could get around Emig, as we're going to take another look at the replay, right through there, he set himself up out of the other corner. He came out and positioned himself on the inside and just jumped in front of him. But the aggressive move by Emig right there, almost losing the front wheel and going down, but it paid off. And watch McGrath right here. He wheelies over those ruts, keeping that bike flat through those whoops.
McGrath, Emig, Henry, and Ward. Ward is not too far away from Henry after Henry's bobble.
Well, that tells me, Art, that Larry Ward is riding a fast pace because Henry and Emig have been flying, and Ward's catching them.
He's got a chance for the best Supercross season of his career should he continue in second place in the point standings. He's got a lot on the line tonight. Not only the 28th career win to tie him with Rick Johnson, but also clinch his 3rd consecutive title. The industrial city of Cleveland opened up an interesting opportunity for Marty Reed. Let's see what he found.
Brake technology is constantly changing, and we're taking advantage of our location here in Cleveland to visit the Velvet Touch factory. No matter what type of vehicle, whether it's an M1 tank, where you've got to have a brake pad this size, or the Lockheed L1011, which has a pad this size, or what we're more familiar with, motorcycle pads, the problem still remains the same. You've got 4 key areas that you've got to solve.
One is, of course, we want to come up with a high coefficient of friction that's very stable. In other words, it stops as good at the end as it did at the first of a race. Number 2, we want to make sure that that brake pad doesn't tear up the rotors. It's got to be friendly toward the rotors. Number 3 is we want that pad to last a long time. We want to give a lot of durability. If people are running in a motocross, hare scramble, they want to make sure that they can finish the race. And then there's a 4th one that's more important in the street bike, is to make it quiet. So the real technology is, how can I achieve all 4 of those objectives in one brake pad? The key ingredient is the right combination of materials. We take copper powders, we take graphite, we take other ingredients to achieve our objectives in the brake. And we take those powders and we blend them, we check them for accuracy, and then these powders are put into a molding press. And under pressure, we make what you might think of as just like a cookie. And then we affix it to a backing plate. And then we take it and we put it in a furnace where we sinter it under approximately 1,600 degrees. We don't know if there's anything the latest there in terms of the raw materials. It's still back to the formulation of those materials. That's the secret.
And on a track like we have here in Cleveland, they use those brakes a lot.
Well, it reminds me of like in car racing, for instance, NASCAR. They run in Martinsville, Virginia, where the track is really small, and they've got to save the brakes for the end of the race.
Our Honda stopwatch. Let's get an interval between first and second. About 5 seconds. And then Henry is real close in third. Ward about 10 seconds in back of the leader. Here's Hughes, who's just gotten around Dowd in 5th spot.
It'll be interesting now to see what the lap time is compared to the 125. I'm going to assume that it's a lot faster for the 250s, but sometimes on a tighter track, you're not able to open that up and really use the full horsepower. And at 125, you can be more aggressive in the tight stuff, so probably be pretty close. There's a look at Greg Auertine, who's having his problems tonight. Kyle Lewis, remember he crashed in the first lap. Here comes Jeremy again.
Oh, it's going to be pretty close. I think we had a 47-second lap time for the 125, so about a second or so more.
Yeah, that's not as much as I expected, and maybe that wasn't one of his best laps. But let's check in with Skip Norfolk, who's down in the mechanics area with Marty.
Skip, you just showed him +5. I think he's got a nice, comfortable lead right now in your book.
Yeah, but, you know, these guys are going around this track pretty dang fast right now. One little bobble, and I think you're going to get eat up, so you can't relax it. You got to keep hammering. We got 8 laps left, and it's looking pretty good right now.
Are you starting to think like maybe history tonight?
Try not to think about that, but thanks for reminding me.
Skip Norfolk in a happy mood and has a right to be with his man out in front as we check out Jeff Emig in 2nd place. Henry starting to pick it up after the little bobble.
Well, that's a real pivotal point in the race, and if Henry was able to make that stick, I think he'd be up there bothering Jeremy right now.
Number 7, Mike Kudrowski, finally starting to knock on some doors there with John Dowd. Kudrowski only 1 point away from Larry Ward for 2nd place in the points chase, but he's coming off an 8th at Texas and an 11th at Charlotte, North Carolina. He's had some tough times lately, David.
That's true, but compared to previous seasons for Mike, he's having a pretty decent year. He's only 1 point out of the Outdoor National Championship. If you look at our Honda Jump Cam, Doug Henry coming through there. Mike's having a decent season, but, you know, he's just never really struck me as a great Supercross rider. He's just not consistent enough. Outdoors, though, he is one tough customer.
And the outdoor season, the thick of it, is starting to get pretty close, and Dowd does a nice job of cutting him off at the corner.
Well, Dowd knows now that Kudrowski's there. That's like knocking on the door, basically. When you run into some guy, even though you're not going to make that pass, you let him know you're there, and that guy starts thinking about you, and that's all you can really hope for on a track this tight. Force him into a mistake.
And mistakes happen fast on a track like this. Mike Kudrowski, as you saw, currently in 7th, wants to get closer to Larry Ward. He's only got 2 more races to go on the Supercross season to hopefully pick off that 2nd spot.
You know, if these races were 30 minutes long, Kudrowski would have a pretty good shot at winning the title. But I think for him, the problem is he's going to have to get off ahead of Larry Ward to have a shot at beating him in this title chase.
Here goes MK. He's got the angle inside. Let's see what Dowd can do with it. Mike Kudrowski moving into 6th. Brian Swink getting by Dowd.
Well, Kudrowski just moved through there and opened the door wide, and Swink rolled right through it. It was an excellent move by Mike. That was the same place a lap before where he got in and showed Dowd a wheel, and Dowd just didn't cover the move.
And look at that corner they just went through. Lots of acceleration there before the finish line jump. It's already down to the plastic. The dirt moving around a little bit.
Well, they usually put the plastic down before they put the dirt down in an effort to save the grass in the football field. But these riders are, some places the dirt's just not thick enough and they dig right through it.
Jeff Emig, 2nd place in back of McGrath, and we'll be back with more 250 action from Cleveland, Ohio in a moment. Live action from the 250 main in Cleveland, Ohio, and Jeff Emig gets the yellow flag. You see Michael Craig is down. Looks like he might be hurt seriously, maybe. He's not moving. The yellow flags are waving. Jeremy McGrath coming through the little jump section there. Jeff Emig has picked up some space on him. Henry's in 3rd.
Well, possibly when Jeremy came around there and saw the flags, he didn't do that triple, and you saw Emig came through there, actually doubled it. And whatever the case, Emig has closed the gap on our leader.
So we've got a close race on our hands and still yellow flags in that portion of the course. The paramedics have surrounded Michael Craig. They're not moving him off the track, David.
Well, he could be unconscious right there, or, you know, when somebody lays that still, you can see Jeremy just passed him. When someone lays that still on the racetrack, you know, it's a pretty smart move not to move him, and you could probably do more damage. So they're doing the right thing there, but what's happening is it's right at the landing of the triple jump. So as these leaders come by, you know, if Jeremy doesn't jump the triple and Emick does, he's going to gain valuable time, and it's just a situation where they're trying to be safe and not impede the, you see all these guys work, they're in the track, and as the riders come by, they're in danger. So it's a really difficult situation for them and for the riders.
And the problem being for the officials now is the red cross flag is showing out there. They had instructions before the race. You see that flag, you do not double, you do not triple, you single every jump. And yet Jeremy McGrath and Emick are both jumping the double.
Well, you know what, Art? The double jump in a defense for the riders really is way before they get to where Craig is laying on the track. As they do that double, they still have to roll over another jump, and they're staying all the way against the edge, the outside edge of the racetrack, and they're really not in the way. If they were to triple that, that would be scary.
Larry Ward in 4th position, behind number 4, Doug Henry.
Doug Henry appears to have slipped off the pace, and he wasn't that far behind Emick. Now maybe he's going a little slower through that area where all the action has taken place and has lost some time. And either way, it's unfortunate for Mike Craig, and I just hope that he's not hurt too bad.
Jeremy McGrath coming through the yellow flag area once again. He's led the entire race. Emick got the whole shot. Jeremy McGrath cut underneath him in the first turn and has been out in front ever since. Emick, though, is going to make a race of it here at the end.
Yeah, you can bet that Jeremy knows he can feel Jeff Emick. Look how close Emick has gotten. And I don't know if it's as a result of Craig going down and causing some chaos over near that triple, but as the final lap, Emick is within striking distance.
We've got a race on our hands, finally, from Cleveland here in the 250s. Jeremy McGrath with number 6, Jeff Emick, starting to breathe down his tailpipe. Jeremy stepping it up as best he can as we take a look from his helmet cam.
That's a lapped rider in front of Jeremy. It looks like Jeff DeMint on the KTM. You see Jeremy chooses a different line in case he was to make a mistake. He'd have someplace to go. And DeMint moves to the outside, frees up. What happens a lot of times is the leader will catch up to the lapped riders and doesn't realize that it's a leader. So he'll mess him up. And by the time he moves over, then he moves over for Emick, and it makes things really tough for the leader.
Pretty much in the can right now, as they say in the movies. Jeremy McGrath has tied Rick Johnson's all-time career victory mark of 28 with Jeff Emick placing 2nd. This is Jeremy McGrath's evening, however. He not only wins the race, he wins his 3rd consecutive Supercross title, nailing it down with 2 races left to go. He's also, of course, tied Rick Johnson's career mark of 28 wins. It also opens the door for him to approach one of his own records of 10 victories in a season. 2 races to go. He could beat that. Jeremy McGrath, our champion, and we'll be back right after this. The financing to get it. And now Honda is the holder of the last 8 championships. As this young man, Rick Johnson, told Honda, you got to take a look at a guy named Jeremy McGrath. And here is Jeremy tying Rick Johnson's career mark in just 3 seasons. There's our final results. Let's go to Marty.
Well, Doug, it looked like tonight the battle between you and Jeff Emick just took both of you out of any chance of catching Jeremy.
Yeah, we were going back and forth. It was kind of hard. I had a lot of trouble getting around him, and then, I don't know, somebody crashed on the triples over there, and they put the red cross flag out, and they were still jumping. I don't know if Jeremy was, but I know Emick was still at least doubling. And they're not supposed to do that, and they just totally got away from me there.
The Suzuki point standings show us McGrath winning his 3rd consecutive championship. Ward and Kudrowski still fighting it out for 2nd with 2 races to go. Let's go to Marty.
Well, we're getting some water. Congratulations from a lot of fans, and for Jeremy McGrath, well, we've talked twice now about history, and again, you're letting me share in your moments. Thank you. I mean, this has been fantastic.
Well, it's a great moment for me. It's my 3rd championship in a row and 9 wins on the season. So, I mean, it's a
definitely a history moment for me. I mean, I'll probably realize it more when I'm done racing, but for now, it feels great.
You said you weren't going to settle for fourth. You were going for the win. You did. You got the great start again. And it looked like the battle for second place there between Emig and Henry, they just took them away from you.
Well, it kind of helped me out. I definitely could stretch it out when they were battling back there, but towards the end, I kind of started making some mistakes. My arms started pumping up, and they caught me a little bit, so I had to get back on track and get going again.
Well, champ, I don't mean to put any more pressure on you, but you realize your record for victories in a season is 10. There's 2 races left. You've got 9. So that means you could still break that record this year, too.
Yeah, that's, you know, I guess that's the next goal in front of me. I need to win the next 2 races and try and break my own record. But, you know, I couldn't do it without Honda, 1-800 Collect. They do a great job. No Fear, Spy, Fox Clothing, Alpine Star Boots, CTI braces, Bell helmets, and of course my mom and dad, my sister, and my mechanic, Skip Norfolk.
Well, here he is, King of the Hill for a 3rd year in a row. Only 2 men have done it. The other's Bob Hanna. Congratulations. Good job.
Second place finisher number 6, Jeff Emig, his 5th hole shot and his 4th podium on the year. Marty has caught up with him now.
Well, Jeff, it looked like you got a pretty good start. I know you wanted to be in front of Jeremy, but you didn't quite make that. But you ran a great race.
Yeah, you know, I was real good out of the gate, but he was just that little more aggressive in that first straightaway. He was like that in the heat race too, and I wasn't really ready for it. But you know, but I rode hard the whole race, you know, and me and Doug had some battles, and that kind of let Jeremy pull away, you know, and that's not really what you need to do. But I kept riding, you know, like just as hard as I could, you know, trying to catch up to him, you know, and I was right there. But maybe San Jose, I'll get it. I got 2 left, man, and I really want to win one.
And it looks like you're starting to peak now. You've had a couple of good races in a row.
Well, it's getting warm. Whenever it gets warm, that's when I ride good. What can I say?
Great run.
Thanks.
It's been getting to be a habit for Jeremy McGrath on the victory podium now to accept not only the trophy for this race, but also a very special plate from Roy Jansen.
Jeremy, on behalf of the American Motorcyclist Association, SRO Motorsports, and Pace Supersports, producers of the United States Supercross Series, it really is my pleasure to give you another one of these #1 plates, the 1995 champion. It's a great accomplishment. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Jeremy McGrath, after dominating Supercross for 3 years, and the fans still love him, David.
Well, it's usually that people kind of want to see that guy get beat. You know, whoever's winning all the races, they're tired of it. But he's got the respect of all the fans, and you can hear it. And he's also in a position to win the outdoors for the first time. So although he's looking at beating his own record and winning the most races in a single season, he has an opportunity to win the national championship as well.
Art Ekman for David Bailey and Marty Reed saying thank you.